On today's episode of the Cryptoverse Market Roundup, EOS jumps 19%, Veritaseum gets hacked, and I have a look at the Dash price chart. All of that coming up on today's edition of the Cryptoverse Market Roundup, so stay right there. Hi there guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse. This is the Market Roundup, where I go through the price movements and do a chart reading. I'm your host, Chris Coney, the founder of Cryptoversity, the online school where you can learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. Find out more at cryptoversity.com. So let's just begin by turning the banner off and then going over to coinmarketcap.com. So Bitcoin's chilling right now at 48.2% dominance, and we're at an $87.5 billion market cap overall for the entire Cryptoverse. The biggest winner in the top 20 today is EOS. EOS is chilling in 11th place here by market cap. EOS now has a market cap of $443.6 million, and it's gained 19.74% in the last 24 hours. EOS is one of my personal favorite projects right now. Sorry if you don't like EOS, but I really do like it. And CoinMarketCap is reporting a coin price of $1.82. I am accumulating EOS about as fast as I can. So that's my indictment of it, if you like. Biggest loser in the top 20 is Veritaseum. Here it is down here in 19th place. It's lost 4% of its value in the last 24 hours. And CoinMarketCap is reporting a price of $150.73. That's quite a way down from the 200 range that Veritaseum was. Now, some news came out that Veritaseum had been hacked. It was a minor hack. Reggie Middleton posted on Bitcoin Talk saying they are investigating it, but it looks like it was an external company that they were working with that dropped the ball. And in any case, they decided not to fork the smart contract, and it was a relatively small amount of money. It was like $4.5 million, which isn't a huge amount of money. And actually the price did crash a lot further than this at the time, but he also pointed out that it rebounded very, very quickly. And he pointed out the resilience of the whole Veritaseum ecosystem and the price being very, very resilient. So if you want more about that, you'll have to do your own research on it. I don't have any sources, but Reggie Middleton did post on Bitcoin Talk about this. So if you just Google Veritaseum hack, I'm sure you can find some information on that. In terms of the most traded coin today, it's no surprise, it's Bitcoin. $800 million worth of Bitcoin has been traded, and Bitcoin itself is up 2.6%. I'm going to give the honourable mention today to IOTA. It's actually the second biggest gain today. It's sitting here in 8th place. You know, I always say IOTA ain't moving from that 8th place. It's been there and it ain't moving. No matter what happens around it, it always seems to stick in 8th place. So IOTA is in 8th place thanks to its $779-ish million market cap, and in the last 24 hours it's gained 14.2%. Pretty good. The biggest mover today, actually, if you want to know, is further down. I think it's Blocknet. Where's Blocknet? Let me search for it because it's got a huge 45% gain. There you go. So if you want a real big move for the day, there's one. In 62nd place, Blocknet. 45% gain in the last 24 hours. So there's a temptation to take profit right there if I ever saw one. All right, so there's the basic price movements for the day. Let's move on to Coinigy, where we look at the price charts. So if you want to follow along with my analysis or even copy my indicators and whatnot, click on the Coinigy link in the video description. You can sign up for this charting software. It's brilliant. It plugs into all of the major exchanges, and then it allows you to draw charts based on the data from those exchanges. For example, right now, I've plugged my Coinigy into Bitfinex and also Poloniex and also Voltoro. So I'm able to trade from those accounts directly from the charts inside Coinigy. So it's absolutely brilliant. So what we're looking at here is Dash trading against the US dollar. This is the daily chart. And like I've been saying with Dash, there is no 200-day moving average yet. So that should appear as a moving green line. But there aren't 200 candles yet on this data set to be able to draw it. So that's one indicator that is going to appear the moment we get 200 candles worth of data. We do have the 50-day moving average though. And what I'm going to do today is I had this ascending channel, which was reasonably chaotic. You know, historically, the big swings for Dash on its way up to the, I think this was the all-time high of $225.55. And then it crashed recently when there was a crash in the overall markets, and it sort of bottomed out there at $120. I mean, that's like half of its value from the all-time high within like 10 candles. So that was quite a hard fall. But it's distinctly broken out of that ascending channel now. So I think I should redraw it. So the way we do that is we wave over one of the, either the top or the bottom of the channel, click on it to activate it, and then I could just delete it from the tool set. So that looks cleaner. I've now got Fibonacci retracement lines, and before we go on to drawing new trend lines, let's just look at the Fibonacci retracement lines. I've got it from right down here at $47, which begins on the 3rd of April, and it goes right to that all-time high there from the 6th of July when it hit $225. So that's how the Fibonacci retracement lines are being drawn. Now the first retracement level we're looking at here, the 23.6 level, is $183.53. Now if we zoom in to the most recent price movements here, and again these are daily candles, right? So that's $183.53 there is depicted by a very thin, it's sort of an orange red line. And over the last couple of days, the lows have sat right on it. So this is looking like pretty good support for Dash, $183. So if you bought close to $183, that looks like pretty good support to me. And also, that might be a good place to put a buy order just above it, maybe 184, just in case it comes back and tests that again. That would be a time to get into Dash reasonably cheaply, and then it could move up. Now, there's not a lot of room though, so betting on it breaking the all-time high, it's not impossible, but it's unlikely. So when you calculate in your profit target potential, I would suggest that you look at it not going any higher than, say, $224, right? So you'd always want to get out before it hits the resistance, because you don't want it to bounce and then it start rocketing down again and retracing back to the start. Nothing worse than being in a winning trade and being excited and then watching those gains vanish. That's the art of when to know to take profit, right? I would always say, always close a losing trade fast, but so that's a definite thing, right? That's why stop losses are kind of important. So I'd place a stop loss, actually put that on the market, but I might not often put an automated take profit order. I would rather decide discretionarily, if that's even a word, when to take profit, because I like things like trailing stop losses and stuff like that, because you want to wring the maximum profit out of winning trades and lose very little on all the losing trades, right? So that's the way it goes. So how that excuse me, how that applies here is the support line there at $183. So if I were going to trade this, and I don't suggest you do, this is just for educational purposes only, but I would put a entry just above that 183.53, and then I would put maybe the stop loss just underneath that low of the candle of the 21st. So that compresses the risk, and then the reward is many times greater than that if we were targeting, say, $224. It might take a little while to get there because it was a bit of an extraordinary run there, and it only visited $225 for a brief moment there before it came right back down again. So more reasonably, we're more likely looking at these candles that all sat around $210. That price has been visited much more frequently than the all-time high. So in terms of risk-reward ratio, you might have to calculate that. In fact, Coinigy has a tool for such a thing. So when you go to this trade sizing tool, if I click long position, what you can do, I'll just show you this, I'll do a slapdash version of this. Slapdash, that's a pun, not intentional. But yeah, I mean a very rough way of doing this. So what you can do on Coinigy is you click where you would enter the trade, and then it creates these profit and loss areas. And then you can drag them. So if I got the bottom of this loss range and started pulling it up, this is then, my risk, and then this here would be the reward. So if I pull this right up to, say, the high of that previous candle, now ordinarily, it shows me the ratios. It's not actually showing up right now, but what it should be doing right now is showing me percentages of like potential gain and loss, unless I'm using the wrong tool. No, I don't think I am. But that's the way you do it anyway. So you can see, you can sort of project what the trade would look like before you go ahead with it. And depending on what your own win-lose ratio is, risk-reward ratio is, will depend on how big your green area needs to be versus the red risk area, right? But anyway, that's that tool. Play around with it. Coinigy have got a number of help tutorials that can help you with that particular tool. But before we close off today, I just want to put some new indicators on here to replace that channel that I had. I'm going to put a new trend line here. And I'm going to see if I can join up these significant lows. So each time the price crashed, I think that is actually going to work. There was a low set here on the 27th of June, and there was that most recent low at the 16th of July. So I'm joining that up again with the beginning of the Fibonacci retracement lines, right down at $47.53. And again, I like to be precise with these things. So when you click the settings for a trend line, you can actually enter the coordinates right in here. So my first coordinate is going to be the low of that day, 47.53, which I can just type in, 47.53, and then the low of the 16th of July, which is in fact $120 exactly. So I'll just type in $120 exactly. Boom. Now make sure when you're using Coinigy that you make a habit of locking your indicators. Otherwise, you might want to drag the chart and you accidentally move one of your indicators, and that is incredibly annoying when you spend so much time being precise, So that's a reasonably stable trend line, I think. It's way away from where the price is now. However, we might see Dash do some really big swings away from the trend line and then back again. So I'm using that. I'm setting up my future moving line of support, if you like, as the price goes up. So there we go. That's all I've got for you in terms of the Dash Price chart for today. I think that's plenty for one day. Thank you very much for joining me today, guys. If you like this episode of the Market Roundup, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, then get subscribed. And if you want access to my very best stuff, then please check out Cryptoversity.com. Alright guys, that's all for the Market Roundup for today. I'll be back with another edition tomorrow, and I'll be back later on today with the news and commentary show. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.